Life is directed by Daniel Espinosa, written by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, and stars Rebecca Ferguson, Jake Gyllenhaal, Hiroyuki Sanada, Aryan Bakare, Olga Dekhovichnaya, and Ryan Reynolds. And Life is about 6 people aboard the International Space Station who fight to stay alive when they accidentally unleash an alien life form on their ship. And again, Life is a movie that I wasn't really planning on seeing at first, but when the trailers came out, it really did come off as interesting and surprisingly polished, especially for a film coming out in the first quarter of the year. So having seen it, I can say that it's absolutely a polished film with a great cast in it, but it is unfortunately pretty lacking in terms of substance and intelligence. Now, with regard to how this movie looks and sounds, it's not the best thing ever, but it's still really impressive, especially in how it depicts space and anti-gravity, especially given the fact that all the actors in this movie never touch the ground once. They are all on wires throughout the entire film, and the wire work is as great here as it is in all the best sci-fi movies. And the creature design of the alien in this movie isn't really scary, but it's really interesting because you get to trace how this creature is growing and evolving throughout the film, so I thought that was pretty neat. In terms of sound, there is sound in space in this movie, unlike in Gravity. However, it does use sound and silence really well and in effective ways, especially with certain things that happen to human bodies in this movie. There's a lot of body horror going on, and they do it really well. There are many times throughout this movie when Daniel Espinosa really takes full advantage of all these things at his disposal, and he delivers these set pieces that really do use the contained setting of the film and the dynamics of the ship really well to kind of, put you on edge. However, overall, I would say that Life does lack a lot of urgency. And there are certain moments where I just don't feel like they really understand what they're doing. To explain that better, like, this film opens with a long take that ends up feeling sort of gratuitous. It doesn't really say anything. The unbrokenness of the shot doesn't really contribute any effect. The whole cast in this movie, though, is undeniably talented. Once again, Jake Gyllenhaal is pretty much the best part of most movies that he's in, and here he's really great just because he makes his emotions just so raw every time. Ryan Reynolds in this movie is pretty much playing Wade Wilson, but he's great at doing that kind of stuff, so he's really entertaining, and this whole cast in general has a surprising chemistry that really makes you believe that they've spent so much time together and that they've become family, and you really do care about them, kind of. However, my big issue here in Life is that it's just pretty much, at the end of the day, an empty and forgettable monster movie that really doesn't have any themes or ideas that really stick with you. The characters, while they're supposed to be smart scientists, they do a lot of really dumb little things throughout the movie that vastly reduce the realism and the urgency in the movie. Just little things like peeking somewhere where they probably shouldn't be peeking, or going to a certain part of the ship where any normal human being would not want to go. And like with Ghost in the Shell, which I just reviewed, the editing here by Francis Parker and Mary Jo Markey, in my opinion, moves a bit too fast, so it doesn't really allow for suspense to really seep in overall. And then you get to the ending of this movie, which I won't spoil, but I feel like it could have been executed way better. It does something with editing, that's the most I'll say, and it just ended up kind of feeling a bit confusing and sloppy, and not as clever as I think they wanted it to be. Although, to the editor's credit, I do like how they tell the story as a real sort of ensemble piece. Everyone here is shown as important, there's no real protagonist, so I like that. However, in the end, I would say that Life in general is just okay. I mean, not just my life, but this movie, Life. Yeah, it's a fun little diversion, but it's ultimately not that memorable. Alright, so those are my thoughts on Life, the movie. If you guys have seen it, please tell me what you thought about it, and whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.